you want to do this, follow my steps. Just made so many good connections as a result.
Like, did you start to see benefit of putting yourself out there?
I think I haven't seen many people really document that. You don't deserve anything, even if you're putting in work.
I want to sound dumb. I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Go research that person, figure out what they do, figure out what they love talking about.
Someone that you mentored or someone you talked to that you at first felt really good about, and then kind of just like, okay, this is not gonna work.
Make a new plan. Okay, now I think I probably need another year at this rate.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today I have a very special guest and friend. He's been on the show a long time ago when we first started, and he creates amazing content all over social media and built a huge following for himself and reputation of being a very consistent trader who focuses on systems and making sure that he executes every single time, no matter what his emotions are. And I have so much respect for you, Brian Lee. So welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, Alex. I think we might have been one of the first interviews, right? Way
Definitely
back.
one of the first. It's insane. It's insane. So I'm so happy to have you. And now we're face-to-face, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And we met last year, face-to-face, Trades for a Cause. And we're back here at Trades for a Cause in Vegas again. So it's going to be a good time. But what I'd love to dive into is how you actually transition. Because I know if you don't know Brian Lee, we did a whole story, as we mentioned, and he talks about transitioning from gaming to trading. Mm-hmm. Now, when you did that from scratch. You started fresh. No one knew who you were in this world. And then you built a very great reputation of giving back and sharing like pillars of success of like risk management. That's huge for you. You got me talking about R's. Mm-hmm. Like you literally got me talking about like 3-to-1 R's and just always talking in that way.
Yeah.
How would you say, well, first off, how did you know to do that, or was that by accident, like to build this?
It's not by accident. It's partly maturity and learning from my mistakes. But I recognize that from the very beginning in gaming. Like even 10 years ago, you can find blogs from the very first post I made about declaring that I'm going to be a professional gamer when I had nothing. I made no connections, not playing at the highest level, no tournaments, nothing, just declaring it outright. I even sent the developer an email asking him to get into the beta of the video game, saying like, look, I'm going to devote the next year of my life to this. And if you'd give me the invite, I'd be honored. And next day he gave it to me. I cried in my seat because that was such an emotional moment. And the thing is, like, I think declaring your intention, especially publicly, is a good way to help people recognize, like, this guy's serious, you know? Especially if you can lay it out logically, like, I'm going to do this, these are my goals, I'm going to go for it. And through that process, I've just continued to make blogs and share kind of what it's like being a pro gamer, like what it's like to try to be a pro gamer. One of my first blogs is called Breakthrough Competitive, and just trying to show people, like, if you want to do this, follow my steps. And I've just made so many good connections as a result, or just like impacted people. So I knew that that's something I always wanted to do. As a trader, that definitely followed through. And I could have, just started posting trading content on my Twitter account back then. I had like 20K followers. Like this is a decade ago, so that's a lot. And I could have just started talking about trading and stuff like that. But I realized like I'm going to just become a new man when I go trading. I'm going to start completely from scratch. No one's going to know about this. I didn't tell anyone. I just quit cold turkey. I'm like, screw this. I'm just going to go do something different. And so literally from day one, I just started sharing experiences like, okay, this is me year one. This is what I'm going to do. This is my background as a pro gamer. Like, I think it's kind of cool, but I'm a trader now. And I started making blogs about that. So I have this kind of anthology series where it's like the journey part 1, 2, and 3. And it kind of follows different tracks where the first one is like, I'm new to this, I'm just learning. Second one's like, I got pretty decent at this and I blew up. And the third one's like, okay, I've grown from all these mistakes and like, this is what's on the other side of all those, all the blow ups, all the heartache. And like, to me, that's a really important series, especially for people coming into this. Cause you can see the evolutions. Like you come in starry eyed, like you think you're going to kill it. Right. And then it's like, you get humbled really quickly.
You too.
And then at the end of it, you're just like, I guess I couldn't have known how hard it was going to be, but like, if you're reading this, this is how difficult it is, and this is kind of what you can expect. So like that, I think sharing that journey, everyone's kind of different, but I think I haven't seen many people like really document that. And I've just been doing this for so long that like it came so natural to me.
That's crazy. And you still have those up on your blog?
Yeah.
We're going to have to provide those links because I remember reading those too, and I was like, dang, this is crazy.
No, it's stupid because when I go back and read it, I'm like, I can't believe I said these things because you don't know how much you know as a beginner. I mean, people always think, oh, you have to learn so much, right? You have to pick up new skills, but it's like you have all the wisdom because just some part of you knows like what you need to do. And when I read it, I'm like, man, I was like, how did I know all this back then? And I think if you read it, you'll be surprised. Like even just rereading, it's like, wow, I can't even believe where it came from. Sometimes artists are like, it just came from God or it came from whatever. All those blogs, I wrote them in just one sitting. Like sometimes took 5-6 hours. I just typing away, no edits, no cutting. And I'm just like, whatever happens, I'm just going to let it out there because one of the flaws that I think people make when they put content out or they become like their biggest critic, they're just like, they'll make something and then they just erase it. Or they'll make something, they'll never share it, right? And the thing is like, the pieces of content that are the most vulnerable are the ones that you have to share. So I learned that like, even if I hate something, and I hated all those blogs, trust me, and all the videos I made, I just press the button. Like I don't edit it, I don't change anything, and I'm just like, put at the beginning, I'm like, sorry guys, I wrote this in one sitting, like, I'm gonna screw up, but this is it. Like,
yeah,
that helped me just like push the button. Push the button, share, be vulnerable, and good things will come from that for sure.
When that was your first actual share, that blog, those 3 series?
That was the first one, yeah.
Did you release all 3 at once, or was it like just one? Just curious.
It was sporadic. It was like
it was
years between or months between. It was like only when I felt ready to tell like the next leg of the story. So it's really at the right time and place if you read it chronologically. So
the reason I asked that is because whenever you did the first one, did you immediately like did you start to see benefit of putting yourself out there? Like how soon did you see benefit? Like, because I'm just curious.
No benefits. I think for a long time no one was really paying attention.
Yeah.
Right, and it doesn't matter because I kind of wanted to get off my chest anyway.
Yeah.
I think what we were talking about this before the show is like it's not just putting things out there. I mean, you can put things out into the ether and no one's going to see them. It's like you don't deserve anything, even if you're putting in the work. Like, you also have to make an effort to connect. So the second phase of this was like posting, let's say, charts. Like I was good at execution, so I would post my charts and I would tag like the symbol, so everyone trading those would also see it, right?
Yep.
And then I would pay attention to people trading the same thing, and I'd be like, oh, this guy's trading kind of like me, or this guy is killer. Actually, one of my very best friends, the Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met on Twitter, the very first like Twitter friend I had, and it's because I saw his charts. I was like, this guy is amazing. Like, I'm gonna reach out to him and just see if he'll be my friend. And
yeah.
I think the thing is like, I had all this information already beforehand when I reached out to him. So when he looks at that, like he's able to be like, okay, like let's be friends. But if I'm 100% positive, if I didn't make any content and I just reached out, Bear, I love your charts, man, we wouldn't be friends to this day. And I think like just that one friendship alone, I mean, even this past year, he's changed my trading just as a friend and like someone who works so relentlessly that like just that one person from everything I've done has been worth it. Like it's worth so much, even in terms of money.
What I like you said is, well, first of all, the Bear, I met him not physically, but I've known of him through you because I found you because of your executions. You posted your charts and stuff, and I was like, God, I was like, man, how does he just keep doing this? And this is when I sucked terribly. And it was just like amazing to see. And so I definitely see what you mean by like, if you didn't have any of that up there, the blogs, that if he looked at you, you'd just be some guy who's maybe fascinated about potentially being serious, right? Because he doesn't want to waste his time, right? But I'm curious on that, what you said earlier, like you can't expect this. Like you can't expect to just post something and then all of a sudden like you're going to meet someone like that. Like how would you go into this? Like, should you be posting what I think you did earlier? You said this was for you. Like, do you think you should just always post like with you in mind? Like, I need this like a journal for myself. Like, how would you recommend? Hey, we wouldn't be able to do these face-to-face interviews if it wasn't for our sponsor, Cobra Trading. So if you could just give them a few seconds of your time, we'd really appreciate it. Cobra Trading is the go-to broker for day traders and short sellers.
And I'm not the only one saying this. In fact, Benzinga awarded Cobra Trading as the go-to broker for short selling. They have a heavy focus on direct market access order routing, so you have the fastest execution. They have some of the best locate prices and availability. They also have amazing customer service. I've experienced many different brokers, and it's why I use them every single day and why I'm proud to have them as our sponsor. Sign up now by clicking the Be the Trader referral link below and earn 1 free month of software with Cobra and 25% off all commissions. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a speech again this year for the third time, and someone in my chat made a comment said, "Brian, you're a very lucid speaker." And the thing is, when I was preparing for all these presentations, I was so nervous and I was really stressed out and critical about myself. The last presentation I made, if you look at it, it's literally a blank page with nothing, no design, it's just white and bullet points. And that's because I got so frustrated. I was like, screw it. We don't need any frills. It's all about the story. It's not about what it looks like. I'm just gonna speak from the heart. And I think that whenever you have a vulnerability where you just speak from your truth and you're passionate about it or you're vulnerable, I think it just comes out across genuinely and that you're speaking with integrity. And I think that people can pick up on that, which is why if you have a story to tell and you're gonna make it just for yourself or people like you, then I think those pieces of contents are kind of evergreen. Even if someone finds it 5 years from now, they'll still get that sense of connection and really appreciate it very deeply. And so for me, I kind of just wanted to always leave little puzzle pieces of golden nuggets here and there. That's kind of the way I've designed my feed.
Yeah.
It's if someone comes back and looks at it, they'll go find a tweet from 2017. They'll be like, dude, that really hits hard, resonates. That's kind of the fun of it. I kind of feel I don't care if people see it today or in 20 years. It's going to be, if anything, it's going to be interesting for me to look back and just reflect on anyway.
What's crazy though is I literally look at your tweets about trading and I feel it hearing you say you kind of just wrote you just write it on a take. It just seems so thought out. It seems so thought out that it makes it feel for me, someone like myself who isn't, I just can't write like you. And so I think at the end of the day, those traders who are watching you today and they're like, man, I do follow you and I love what you post. There might be intimidated to be posting, right? Because I don't want to sound dumb. I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm talking about.
I mean, I think that's totally fine. If you have a story to tell and you feel genuinely passionate about it, I think just say it in your own words. You don't have to sound like me. And I think I heard this somewhere and I don't know if it's a quote or what, but it's there was an author and I want to write a book someday.
Yeah.
So the author was the book, all of it, all of the content was kind of created in a couple of hours. I thought of it initially and I just filled in the pieces over the years. The bulk of it was already done just with the initial thought. And that's also the way I approach presentations and videos. It's the presentation I made last year, I was already thinking about it in year one. I didn't have any details, but I already knew what I was going to do. Same thing for the next year. I already know what the idea is, the seed. And I guess that's why it kind of comes together because I kind of plant it and then little thoughts come throughout the year. And when I put it all together, it just comes out. Even if I'm not really conscious of it at the time, it just floods out because I'm just collecting, all this energy and just letting out all at once.
Speaking of last year in your speech, I really loved it I think if I remember correctly, it was whenever you were you mentored someone.
Yeah.
And you saw them go through a cycle. I'm very curious, how did you meet that person? Was that someone who was posting and creating something of value to give out to where it made you take them serious? What happened? How did that connection happen?
That's actually a really good question because that kind of changes the conversation a little bit.
Yeah.
So this guy is not well known. He doesn't post even to this day. People don't see him. The thing is, he reached out on DM and said, "Hey, I'm in the area. I would love to meet up and chat." And the way he said it was so honest and genuine and friendly. He wasn't weird at all about it. And he just say, "I would really love to learn from you." And basically what he did was said I've read all your tweets. He would we'd have conversations go back and forth about something that I said, years ago. So I knew he's paying attention, right? And that's the best thing that you can get when you recognize someone's paying attention. It's more likely that whoever you're trying to like reach out to is going to reach back out, because like plenty of times people come in and they're just like, what's R, and like what
Yeah.
I didn't know you had a blog, or I didn't know you had YouTube, or like I didn't know you talked about this already. And it's like so frustrating, because if you're paying attention, it's so obvious, right? And that's why you get your foot in the door by just showing that like you actually care. And because of this, we really connected, and I gave him the opportunity. And that's like another way of doing it. You don't have to make content. Like sometimes you can just play to your strengths. Like he's a personable guy,
Yep.
and you can just feel the passion. And it's not like the stupid passion where it's like, I want to do this, but I have no freaking clue. It's like the passion is like, here's my plan. And the thing is, when you have a plan, it's so much more convincing. I mean, when I became pro player, I was in college. I was super frustrated. I was like skipping classes. I was like honestly getting pretty depressed because I was like moving away from what I want to do. Like I want to be a gamer, but then
Yep.
I got to do school. And the thing is, like, one day I just wrote out like a document, and I was like telling my parents, like, this is what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. This is how I'm going to do it. And because of that, like, my parents let me drop out of school and pursue this. And it's like, when someone can tell you that, it makes a big difference, because their odds are just way higher, and it's worth investing energy into someone who's going to stick around versus like people just pop and drop, right? And so that's kind of the difference. You can really feel it in the person. And if you don't really like have that, I would say just cultivate it, like just pay attention, bring up surprising information that someone necessarily wouldn't expect. Like again, like really old tweets, right? That shows you're doing the research. It's not like, oh, hey, I saw you on Alex's, interview on YouTube yesterday, and like, I think you're pretty cool. But it's like, go research that person, figure out what they do, figure out what they love talking about, what pressure points they have, and just like really talk with them about that. And sometimes that's just enough.
I love what you said. You said it twice now, and that is the whole idea of having a plan that you can present or at least explain. Now, I'm curious because the plan you mentioned about with your family, it seemed like more like big picture plan. And then initially, I thought when you said plan, could it also mean like, or could it also mean like, I don't know if he showed you like, I hope in 3 months to accomplish this, in 6 months to accomplish this. Like, how detailed do they need to be? Like, or is it just really as long as they could feel the passion through the plan?
Well, it's actually the opposite. It was different. So with my family, it was like the Super Bowl esports is called the International. In 2021, the prize pool was $40 million. Just to show you this amount of stakes at $40 million. It used to be just 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 40 now. And the thing is, like, you have something to work towards. So I said, hey, I want a year to prove, like, give my full effort and do this, right? And this is my ultimate goal, is to go to this tournament, which I did accomplish. With this guy, he said, like, I'm at a crossroads where I can continue my career, continue my education. I don't love it. Like, I've been doing it because I feel like I have to do it. Like, I have a core competency. But I really love trading. And he said, like, I've been putting all my extra energy into learning, and I've been in this room and I've been learning this and that, and like, it hasn't been working, but I know I'm really close, and this is really what I ultimately want to do. And he's like, I'm willing to drop out of my education. I'm willing to work part-time as like, at a restaurant or stuff like that. Like, really do whatever I can to make this work. And like, this is ultimately what I want to do. And I think he felt a sense of, if he didn't make this work, like, he has to go back and do what he had to do.
Yep.
But I think what we both had in common was that we were willing to make a really big risk and sacrifice and do it on a timeline. So what I learned early on in my, like, way before I made any goals, is like, if you don't put a timeline on your goals, then it's just a dream. That's the way that I heard about it before. So I said, okay, so I'm going to give myself 1 year to do this. Like, if I put in as much energy as possible every single day, And if I don't make it, then I have no regrets about that, right? And I can move on with my life. But I felt like if you give yourself a timeline and you say, I'm going to do everything I can, live with no regrets, then that's a really powerful force. And that's what I sensed in him. And maybe what my parents knew about me or like what I was trying to project at the time, but it was true.
The timeline idea, do you feel like it works? Because I mean, there's just two thoughts. Like either one thought, you say I'm gonna do this in a year, but let's say you don't accomplish it, but you still want to keep going. Like there could be that thought of failure, like I got to give up now because it's been a year. Like what are your thoughts around like the timeline itself?
Well, okay, so I think we all know Tim Grittani, right?
Yep.
Same deal. He told his parents like, look, give me this money. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to put everything into it. Like I need this time to just focus. Like he was probably one of the biggest examples we can think of in trading. I think like timeline is not that important. I think it's more of just a mechanism to motivate yourself. I think it's okay to fail. Like for example, if you put in all this energy every single day, you are going to be so much further along than you would have been otherwise. And so even if you didn't reach your goal, it's kind of like you can reevaluate and make new goals. It's not the end of the world, right?
Right.
You can say like, I've come this far. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like make a new plan. Okay, now I think I probably need another year at this rate. And the thing is like, that's a really important skill because people in your life are not necessarily going to understand like your wife, you talked about it with her in your video, which was really good. My wife watched that video. It was pretty funny.
Because you tell us so like random. Like my wife had no idea. It was so crazy. Some of the things she said.
But my wife had to deal with so much, like as like beginning of pro gaming to now.
Oh, I bet.
Every single year is like, why are you not further along, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, trust me, it's going to pay off if we wait just one more year. Like this is what I'm doing. Constantly reevaluating the goals, and you need to get people in your corner because the support systems are so important. Like if you look at some really successful traders, they'll tell you how much support they've gotten from their partners and from their family and things like this, and it is actually pretty critical because you're gonna have to believe in yourself to do this in the first place, but like at the times when you're really low and down on yourself and want to give up, like those people are there for you. And that's kind of where it's at. And I think one of the most important things, like time is important to me, timelines. I've shared so many times like what I think the trajectory of a trader should be.
Yeah.
Because I want people to be kind to themselves and say like, okay, I've said this many times. The first year, like even if you try your hardest, you have a mentor, you shouldn't even try to make money. Like just risk nothing. The tuitions, whatever you pay, right? Yep. And I said like after second year, try to find that consistency, like cut everything out, just do what you do well, focus on that, cut out the noise. And then I said in the third year, you should really start to get the hang of it and start actually making legit money. So with that roadmap, I'm trying to give people the opportunity to say like, okay, maybe 1 year is not realistic to go after trading. Like if you say, hey honey, I have 1 year's of savings, I'm going to become a full-time trader, this is why. You got to think about what I just said. Like, it's not going to be 1 year, right?
It's not.
So 1 year is not enough.
It's not.
And this is if you're putting the maximum effort. I'm talking like all day, every day, nonstop.
It's still not enough.
It's still not enough. So if you are like not putting in, 16, 18 hours a day, you're not doing this every single day. I mean, you have to just expand that timeline to fit your circumstance because not everyone's the same. Some people have kids.
Oh, man.
People are transitioning, right?
Yep.
So just...
That's like triple your timeline.
Yeah, take it from me. Like, I'm trying to share with you, like, don't expect to be where that random dude on Twitter is because his circumstances are probably way different than yours. Like, really evaluate where you're at and use this guideline to be, like, able to set your goals and just really think big picture because I'm trying to pass that wisdom along as someone who's gone through it with the same expectations because it's like I'd be dishonest if I said I didn't have like an ego coming into this like, hey, I was pretty good at something, like let me just kill this, I'll do it faster than anybody, right? That's what a lot of people think. And the thing is you get humbled super quick because the market doesn't really wait for anybody. Like it's on its own timeline. You have 5 days a week if you're trading equities, right? You can't trade on Saturday, Sunday. You have holidays. There's only a certain amount of hours per day, and it's not like you can just go back to 6:30 market open or 9:30, sorry, and just constantly replay the game and like make a new, like correct your mistakes, right? You have to wait for the next
I
time,
know. Yeah.
right? So
Well, now we got replay mode.
you do, but it's not the same.
It's not. It's not.
And so you just have to recognize like there's an inherent time factor here that no one is going to be above. And I try to share that with them in my last presentation about, look, I'm mentoring someone like as much as you can in detail. Like he knows what to do, right? And he still almost failed. And that's because it's a mental thing. You know, when you're pushing yourself, like when you're like trying your best, but it's not working and you're just like, why can't I do this? Just forcing it instead of saying like, okay, look, this is where I'm at. I probably need another year of this, and then I'll get the hang of it, and then things will start going swell. That's the kind of compassion that you need for yourself to coach yourself to doing the right things instead of just like, oh my God, I need to make a lot of money right now. Let me just quadruple up on the next A+ setup and like try to accelerate, right? Because the thing is, even if you make more money, you can lose more money. It's the same thing. Like it doesn't matter whether or not you make it to your goal faster if you can't maintain it and not blow up, right?
That's
So
a really good point.
always happens. Yeah.
You know, two things that you brought up earlier too was what it sounds like is being a good student, like because he studied you before he reached out to you, right? So like, what are some ways to maintain being a good student whenever that someone is working with someone? Because like I'm sure there's going to be someone that you mentored or someone you talked to that you at first felt really good about, and then kind of just like, okay, this is not going to work.
No, that's
You know what I'm saying?
I like definitely know what to say here. It's literally you don't have to bring anything into it. You don't have to be like, look at this opening range breakout setup I learned, or like, do you see this? Because I see like it was above VWAP for 5 minutes or whatever. You don't have to say any of that. All you have to do is listen to what they tell you and put it into practice. Literally, that's all you have to do. Like, just do it, and whether or not you fail or it doesn't matter. Like, just say, hey, I tried implementing what you said. It didn't work out for me, and then that person will correct you. That's a form of mentorship. Or you'll say, hey, it worked really, really well, and you're like, dude, I'm so happy for you. Like, and he's like, and then you can say, that really worked for me. That's awesome. Like, now I'm kind of thinking that in order to improve, I need to do this. Like, what do you think? I've seen you say this before, right? Because the thing about trading is that the way I look at it is you have to kind of take the different tools from people. Like, everyone does something really well. And you can take some kind of methodology they have or something they're always harping on. Like, everyone has something, right? They're just like always saying it. If you look at my feed, like he's always talking about, oh my God.
Yeah.
You might not know what that is, or might not even care, or might not even think it's legit. But at least you know about it. And the thing is, I think at some point, every trader, just through experience, they'll just be like, wait a minute. That is like the perfect tool for where I'm at right now. And you pull that tool and you put it in your game. And all of a sudden you become like an amalgamation of different people. And it's like, that's what it's about. It's just learning what someone does well and just keeping it in the back of your mind. You don't have to act on it right away. But in terms of mentorship, absolutely do it. Like, cut everything you're doing. They always say it's hard to teach people who already have so much baggage. They're like,
Empty your cup, man.
It's really like that. It's very frustrating for someone who's like, look, I don't know why you need to add on to something that wasn't working when you have like someone who's done what you want to do, right? Telling you exactly what to do. And also in like sometimes very blatant terms. Like sometimes I'll be like, look, forget everything. Just do A, B, C. That's it. Focus on that. You'll be fine. And they're like, why? It can't be so simple. It can't be so simple. What is the secret? I'm like, no, there's no secret. It's like literally, I'm telling you. And I'm like, go back and watch the interviews that I've made. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm literally saying exactly what you need to do. And you're trying to read in all this, subcontext and looking for like, what is he not saying that he's, right? And that is the most frustrating thing for someone, just to feel like you're not being heard and like received very well. And so someone who's going to make it is going to be definitely a good student. Like, they're going to apply, they're going to know what you said and take it literally. Like, just take it literally.
Yeah.
Worst thing that happens is you experience it and you make an evaluation for yourself, right? You can still make your own judgment about it, but if you don't give it like your full kind of effort, right? Like just do the thing, do it as much as you can, force it if you have to, and you're gonna be better for it anyway. Because like, what does it matter? Are you gonna lose a couple trades? No big deal, right?
Yep. You know what I love, Brian? And I know people are going to want to know more about you, so I want you to tell them where they can learn more about you in just a second. But what I love so much, man, is like, dude, like the reason why they should listen and become a good student is because then, which I didn't even think about, then your mentor will actually try to correct what you're doing because you're actually doing exactly what they're telling you because they want you to succeed. So that was money, man. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
So look, where can people learn more about you?
The best place is on my Twitter at Brian Lee Trades. I also like built a website, BrianLeeTrades.com, and I put all the pieces together, like the blogs, interviews, different things about it, and you should be able to go in the pin post and just find everything. It's designed to make it easy for you, recommended content like the blogs we mentioned.
Yep.
And it's just the things that, you know, if you send me a DM and you're like, I have not read that blog, and I'm like, why? Because I put it right there.
Yeah.
I'm making it as easy as possible. Most people will not do that ever for you. So
That's true.
that's where it is.
Look, I'll have those links down below. And again, Brian, thanks for being here, brother.